everyone. Welcome back to Black Digital Media TV. I know it's been a while since you've last seen us, but we've been doing a lot of work behind the scene, and so we're excited to be back and just kind of get back to where we've been. And so I'm just glad to be back. Want to, as you all know, got my great, wonderful co-host Gina. How you doing tonight, Gina?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Laron.
Good, good. So I just want to we'll get right into the show. I know you guys been waiting to hear our guest, Gemikal. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good,
How are you
good.
doing?
Real well, real well. Well,
Yeah.
definitely, we're glad to have Gemikal. We're excited about his book, Point A to B. He's got a fascinating story behind that, and so we're just happy to have him. You all know that what Black Digital Media is all about. Is our thing is to just bring on and support our members in the community, those who have their own Black businesses, book writers, things of that sort. And so Gemikal is definitely one of the individuals that Gina definitely sought out and said, we got to get this guy on. So I'm excited to have you tonight, brother. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Gina. Gina?
And one of the things that I want to just say out there, Gemikal is not just an author, he's a former student. So I had to get that, just mention that. But I had nothing to do with his writing skills. He actually was in my sculpture class. That was your senior year, wasn't it?
It was my
Junior
junior.
and senior. Okay, junior.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's where I know Jamaica from, and it's been, gosh, over 11 years now since you graduated from high school, and you've gone through um, college and a little bit beyond. So can you just kind of give us an idea of, since high school, where'd you go to school, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So toward the end of high school, I was trying to figure out what my next steps were going to be. Um, I played basketball my whole life, and so that was the plan for a while. I was going to play college basketball. Then some things changed. I ended up running track. Um, Mainly so we could avoid off-season conditioning, but then it ended up turning out to be something that I really enjoyed and just loved. And yeah, going into my senior year, I decided that I would run track. And so I ended up signing with Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee, where I still reside 11 years later. And I studied communications with an emphasis in journalism and new media. Um, Through that experience, the chair of the communications department, he was very big on us just learning as much as we could. And I quote saying, he would say, like, I don't want you guys to be a one-trick pony. I want you to be a strong asset wherever you go. And he stayed true to his word. And so that allowed us to work in a lot of different facets. And but it really honed my love for writing. Um, so yeah, and then a couple years after graduating from Lipscomb University, I attended Full Sail University, um, getting my master's in creative writing. And yeah, I guess that's when just the idea of writing, pursuing it really became real. Um, there were there was one particular instance that I do recall in undergrad where there was a few of my friends and I getting together, just talking about dreams, things that we would want to happen that just doesn't necessarily make sense, but
Yeah.
how cool would it be to try? And we're sharing all these things, and I was saying like, oh, I want to be an author. Like, I want to be one of the greatest authors um, to come out of Florida.
Mhm.
And God says you need to be specific with your dreams, your wishes, and stuff. So that's what it was. And I know it sounded crazy, but that's what I wanted. And one of my buddies just piped up and was like, "So why not? What's stopping you?" And it's like, "Yeah, why not?" And for those who don't really know me, like, I'm the type of person that when I have this idea, when I'm set on it, I'm gonna do it. Um,
Mhm.
even if you may feel uncomfortable with it or it may not make sense to you, that's fine. I'll figure it out. Um, and yeah, it kind of just slowly started there. And yeah, and then a couple years later, I started piecing some poems together and ideas, concepts, which led to this first published piece of work of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned about the big dreams and making sense is that when you have a dream, it's not really supposed to make sense to anybody else because the dream was given to you, right?
Exactly.
And if you try to make it make sense to other people, no, it's not for them. It is for you. And that's one of the things. I mean, Laron can attest to this as well. We've got ginormous dreams, and we try to explain to people what we're doing or trying to do. They look at us like, "Oh, you're nuts! How in the world are you possibly going to accomplish this?" You know, that type of thing.
Right.
So yeah, so the idea of dreaming big. I mean, you were given this dream, and you've now done that first book because I'm sure this is not going to be your only book. So
No.
but we're going to talk about point A to B tonight.
Yes.
Right. I'm going to stop talking. So, Laron, did you have anything, specific you wanted to ask about?
Yeah, I would just kind of throw in. I was very appreciative to hear you talk about Jamaica, talking about your dreams. Just kind of delve in on in terms of when you were younger and you decided to go to school to get that master's degree for creative writing. I know when we talked about it and we had a pre-interview, you really went into what was your foundation for beginning to write. And I want you to kind of touch on what was that real foundation that you said that, from home that would just kind of carve you to be that writer that you've
Yeah.
turned out to be. So just kind of give that insight, and that way you can probably be encouraging to other people that's out there listening.
Yeah. Even now, writing is something that just comes pretty easy. Whether it's I have this idea for a piece and I just want to start it at this moment, or I'm just taking notes of this idea or whatever. Like it's just something that I'm doing every day in some form or fashion. Um, it's funny because I would say that it kind of started um, with my mom. She wanted me to read at a really early age. I think I was reading when I was 3. By the time I was 3, I was reading. And so around this time, I'm about 7, 8 years old, and she's continuing to want me to read, build up my like reading grade level and stuff. And so she'd have me read more thorough, more intricate books, and she would want me to tell her what I read, essentially. And there came a point when I was just kind of tired of it, and I would just read the synopsis of the books and then just tell her about it. And that worked for like a week. And then she's like, you know what? You're going to start writing essays for me. Tell me about the books. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, fine. But I think that is something that did make writing very easy for me. Getting started on that path at an early age, and then just going more in depth into like the dreams and stuff like that. I felt like I was always saying things that kind of caught people off guard, even when I was really young. Like I was in the 3rd grade and I gave my mom a list of colleges that I wanted to go to,
Oh, wow.
And so I just thinking back, I felt like I was very ambitious at a very early age and was just seeing things for myself that not only people wouldn't expect for me to see for myself, but like even things that people wouldn't see for themselves either. Um, and so, yeah, there were a lot of times where I had to be stubborn and you know, this is on my heart. This is what I see for myself, and like, no, this is what I'm doing, kind of thing. But yeah, very thankful for those experiences and hard conversations, even because it further cultivated me taking the step in the first place. You know what I mean? To pursue a career as an author, to publish work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all that comes into play. So
You just really struck me when you just gave all that credit to your mother. So if at any point your mother is listening and she sees you, we just want to say to her, you've done a great job. And here's the fruits of your labor, making him write that thesis. Don't let him get away. She probably knew that what she was trying to do. She probably caught on at some
Yeah.
point.
yeah,
You know,
probably.
we got something for you.
Yeah,
But
probably.
it's just great to see that you've turned out, because we definitely need more writers, more
Mm-hmm.
publishers, those in our community that's writing books, and to our younger community, it's so important. So definitely, brother, we just want to give tilt our hat to you, and just keep going, Gina.
Yep, yep, yep. I can attest to your mom, Jermichael, because I remember even in when you were in high school, in my sculpture class, we had quite a bit of correspondence. So she's
Mhm.
very, very supportive. That much I do know.
Yeah.
So Michelle, if you're watching, hats off to you. That's right. So but let's go to your book. Your book is broken up into, and we're talking about point A to B. For those of you who are wondering, well, what's this book that you're talking about? It's point A to B, written by Gemikal Prude. It's broken up into two parts.
Mhm.
The first part of it, you called it One After Another, and I noticed that pretty much every reference, every chapter has a car reference. Can you kind of talk a little bit about how that car, why the car reference of your book, and why each chapter has something to do with a particular, part of the car? And then when you've done that, I do want you to read a particular part called, let me see if I can find that, Messy Interiors.
Yeah.
Yes, and talk a little bit about, because I'm sure a lot of us can relate to when you throw out messy interiors, we immediately go to, probably a messy room, a messy house, a messy car, but not so much of us would think about our own interior, right?
Mhm.
Our personal interior. So talk a little bit about, the car references and messy interiors.
Yeah. So yeah, there's two parts within the book. The part one after the other, one after another. It's just describing like different ailments that come along with having a vehicle for a while. Um, and it sometimes can feel like you're having to deal with put money into uh, all that stuff one after another. It just continues to happen. And then the part two, a new lens, is just a reflection of seeing a lot of the good that comes from even just being able to own your own car. And it may not have anything to do with a particular car part or anything like that, but just the sense of, independence or responsibility that can come along with that. And that in itself can be a positive thing.
Mhm.
So messy interior. Yeah. So every piece within the first part of the book, it references a car part, but it can easily be associated with just something that a person may deal with in life in general, whether it be physically or mentally, um, and that's what the messy interior really hones in on. Uh, is just reflecting on some of the experiences or just hardships that you may have encountered and how it's still affecting you and taking a toll on you to this very day. So that's kind of the reflection of that.
I see you got some fans in the audience. Felicia just gave you a shout out.
Yeah, I just saw that. Thank you, Felicia.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
so
Michael, Gina wants you to read a piece. Where are we gonna start?
Yeah. So I'll
I love that
read.
you read it. So let's get on that piece, brother.
Yeah. So this is Messy Interior. I guess you could say that I'm a mess. From my dash to my armrest, even the gray floor mats that turned into a black mesh. You're not impressed as you gained access to the stress flooded throughout my interior, with weight continuing to press against my head and chest, overpowering any chance to bench press the garbage I once refused to address. I don't deny the daggers digging deep into the depths of my headrest, but nonetheless, I gaze upon a scenario where I continue to digress, under the disbelief that my mind, my interior, got dirty out of nowhere, leaving me to call SOS. That's it.
Good job.
wow,
I'm
that's
sure the
powerful.
audience is doing this and helping them out.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
I appreciate it.
Oh, wow. So, um, when you decided you wanted to write a book and you had actually started, I know a lot of people talk about, when they go into a particular field, they experience this thing called imposter syndrome. I know I've experienced it. Did you, as a writer, and as before your book was even published, right? Did you feel any of that? Did you think that, you know, did you experience any of the what they call an imposter syndrome at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Even after the book being published, I
Hmm.
still feel that. You know what I mean? I still feel this sense of, what? Wow, do I belong here? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Um,
Mm.
and I don't know. I think it's an ongoing battle. I think no matter how far you get in your career, how accomplished you are, there's going to be those moments where you kind of have to sit back and reassure yourself. Um, and what propelled me to want to pursue a writing career in the first place, and the thing that's still keeping me grounded now, is just knowing that my voice and my experience is very unique. And I feel like I have a certain perspective that um, that no one else has. We may have the same ideas or whatever, but how that's going to be expressed is it's going to sound very different.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
um, and so I feel just through that reality, I just have a lot to offer, and so I know that God put this passion in my heart for a reason, and I'm going to continue to cultivate it and um, build relationships with other creatives and all that stuff. Just not only so I can say what I need to say, so people see my words or whatever, but ultimately I want others to feel seen and heard as well.
Mhm. Yeah, your book is definitely unique, especially though, with the car references. For me personally, I'm a very visual person, that as an artist, I'm very visual. So as you're reading, I can picture all of the references that you're referring to. And to me, there that to me is why your book is so very different from other books of poetry out there, you
Mm.
know. So I'm impressed. Let's just put it that way. I'm impressed. I'm
Thank,
I'm really grateful that you come on to share this with us.
yeah, thank you so much.
So definitely, Jermichael, do you have a copy of your book with you?
Yes,
Oh, there you go.
I have it right here. It's bookmarked because yeah, there's going to be probably other pieces that I read, but yes, here's the book right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so where can people get your book? Before we go on any further, where can
Yeah, so it is live on Amazon. Um, I'm also trying to figure out some other um, avenues as far as getting the book, getting a website going, all those different things. But right now, the main place that you would be able to find it is through Amazon.
Well, we hope that after this show is over, your show your sales just skyrocket. Definitely had other people on the show, and they've come back and told us that they really appreciate being on the show because their sales definitely increase. So we definitely want to just make sure that we tell everyone that's in our community and out there in the sphere, definitely go out and get a copy of Jamichael's book From Point A to Point B. It is a fascinating story, and he's very artistic. So I think it'll be a great reading for you and just something you can definitely share with your family and the little ones as well too, because it definitely kind of speaks to, you know, life. But his story is definitely one worth reading. So don't delay, everyone. Go out there and get that book. Support him.
yeah.
Gina?
One of the other parts that I would like for you to read, when I saw the chapter the chapter title, a song, and I mentioned this earlier, the song that popped into my head was a song by Meatloaf called Objects in the Rearview Mirror. And the name of the chapter of yours is called Rearview Mirror. So I'd like to have an idea of why, because we're always told the rearview mirror is smaller than the windshield because you're supposed to be looking forward and spend more time looking forward than you do back, right? So kind of give an idea of um, why that particular reference to the rearview mirror.
Yeah, it's what kind of inspired that was the idea of like when you're no longer learning or aware of the past, how you can repeat those same mistakes. Um, and so it kind of started with that and how um, obviously you don't always want to find yourself looking back. You want to be focused on what's ahead of you. Um, but not being aware of like what was doesn't fully allow you to have complete self-awareness, and not having self-awareness can be a major downfall. It could be your demise in a plethora of ways. So that's kind of where that idea came from.
Mhm. So the idea of if you're not aware of where you came from, then you probably don't have a clue of where you're going. That's sort of
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
So Jamaica, my next question for you, brother, is how long did it actually take you to write the book? Let's talk about the process, if you will. What was that time period? Once
Yeah.
that thought hit you, and when did it come from concept to print?
Yeah. I would say altogether it probably took about 8 to 9 months. Um, a little longer than it should have. Going back to the whole imposter syndrome thing, that was definitely something that slowed me down quite a bit. Um, there was probably, I'd say, a 2 month period where I was off and on. And so it definitely should have been written faster. But yeah, looking back on that experience, it definitely helped me a lot as far as self confidence, um, and then just having a deeper understanding of what it takes to publish something. Um, yeah, definitely won't be prolonging any work like that again. But the time, the experience, it was definitely something that I needed, and it was a lesson that I was glad to have.
Now
Yeah.
I have one more question for you, Gina, before you. So once you understood your process and what book you came up, how you came up with that, what would you recommend, Jamichael, to anyone that's listening? If they decided to write a book, what would be some of the techniques or what would be some of the things that you would recommend that they should begin to kind of start that process so that they can get that book from concept to print? What would you, as someone who's completed a book, someone who's looking to write more books, what recommendations would you give?
Yeah, I mean, I'm no expert or anything, but I encourage people to take notes, um, whether whether it's like a paragraph or just a sentence, a word, even. Um, to continuously take notes on just things that are like going on. So first and foremost, you're gonna have to be observant and be willing to take in a conversation or just some kind of experience you're having. I'm a big advocate of that, um, which I think will make the process and conceptualizing the book a bit easier. Another thing that I also recommend, I tell like a lot of other friends who are writers, I tell them this all the time, like create an outline for the book.
Mhm.
Um, Even if it's not, you know, bright and shiny and all this other stuff, just put some ideas down. I knew for this book, I wanted it to be broken up into two parts, uh, because the idea of it started with my own personal journey, me feeling like, oh wow, do I have a lot to offer, and I just feel like I'm this old beat up car, but then realizing like, no, that's not the end of the story. There's a lot that I have to offer, and even if I am this old school, there's so much joy, happiness that not only that I can experience, but I can give. So, me knowing that, I knew that I wanted to break the story up into two parts because um, I'm generally like a happy person. Like even in difficult moments, I'm able to see the good in situations, and I wanted to reflect that in my work.
Mhm.
Um, and then just thinking about certain things that I felt like I was struggling with or whatever, and how I was able to associate that with a vehicle. And so just yeah, like big proponent on outlining before you actually start the writing
Mhm.
process. Um, it really does make everything a lot easier.
So what do you foresee in the future, Jermichael, in terms of books coming on? You don't have to really give the titles if you don't want, but do you what's where you're at right now? I know we talked about that, but just kind of share what your intentions are for future books.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of writing in general, I just first and foremost, I just love the art. It started with me. Um, it was just like self therapy, really, and
Mhm.
I found myself in a place where I wasn't being fully understood, and so I began to write, and that really gave me what I needed at the time, and it's still something that I rely on, obviously, to this day. And so, yeah, I love it, and I want to keep giving the art as much as it's given me. You know what I mean? And so, um, like I said, I write it every day in some form or fashion. I'm always looking to just be better, and so I want to continue to share lots of stories. So I mean, I wanted write more poetry books. I want to write children's books. Um, I also do like script writing as well. So I want to get more into that, and eventually do like short movies and stuff like that. Yeah, I just want to really give all I have to the art because, like I said, it's given me so much, and eventually just find myself in a place just creating opportunities for other creatives and just shedding a light on them.
Well, I just want to make sure I want to put it in right before Gina asks her next question. You have to promise to Michael that when you do write that next book, you got to come back to Black Digital Media TV.
Oh, absolutely.
It's another rendition. So we're looking forward to it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Gina.
Now, one of the things I did want to mention, you were talking about how writing was kind of a creative outlet for you, and that's one of the things is several years ago I took a challenge when I was personally going through an illness, and I decided that I was going to create 101 paintings in 101 days, and that was therapy. And it's I don't think a lot of people really understand just how creativity can be very healing, and that's one of the things that I teach, whether it's painting or playing an instrument or even journaling. That's one of the things I tell people in my community: just get a notebook and do a brain dump every day. Whatever it is that you're feeling, just I call it a brain dump. I don't know if that's a reference that you might use, Jamaica, but I call it a brain dump. Just write in your journal every day. Whatever thoughts come into your head, just write it down. And before you know it, you could have some semblance of a book. And I remember several years ago when I wanted to write a book, I I bought this book that said, write a book in a weekend. And I thought, oh, this is nuts. How can you possibly write a book in a weekend? But then, like you mentioned with the outline, if once you start to outline your book, you basically have the book. It's just a matter of filling in, um, the words under your chapter. So once I did that and did my outline, I basically, here's my book. Now I still have a little bit of editing I've got to go in and do, but the book is complete, and it's simply by following what you mentioned, which is outline. Once you have your outline, your book is on the verge of completion.
Mm-hmm.
And because I really thought, it's impossible to write a book in a weekend, but it truly isn't. You can actually publish a book. Well, you can write a book in a weekend. Now, with the editing process, yeah, that's where I procrastinate.
And so my background is I'm in IT. I'm a tech guy, so getting into reading long books and stuff like that. But I do have one request for you, Jamaica. When I'm ready to write my first IT book, I wanna get your services. Okay.
All right.
Help keep the tech guy on keep the tech guy on point.
Yeah, holds you accountable for sure.
There you go. Thank you, brother.
All right, so Jamaica, let's go back to Rearview Mirror. Could you read that for us, please? And for those of you who are listening, please go and check out Amazon. Point A to B is the title of the book. Gemikal Prude is the author. So can you?
Yeah. All right. So this is Review Mirror. What could I do without a clue of what I've once gone through? Leaving behind the zoo that once ripped my heart in two, without a single use of my rear view. Is it best to no longer stress over the grip my past has on my neck? Or should I be able to learn from my past burns in hopes that such flames will never return, stalling me from being my best? That's it.
Good job. Good job.
And they're just like, just nuggets of wisdom. That's I think that's what I can call it. They're little nuggets of wisdom, but when you listen, because like I said, I'm a very visual person, so I'm listening and I'm, seeing, you're painting a picture with words for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. So
Yeah.
because I'm such a visual person, but anyone, whether you're visual or not, I mean, you're going to enjoy this book. So it's, I think it's about 69 pages or so. Get the book. Just get the book. It's, yeah. Um, I'm just I'm very impressed at the caliber of work for you, for this being your very first book. And I don't know if that's coming across right or not. It's just, it's a, I'm sorry. I am definitely not the author. I've written a book. My first book was 9 pages. Yeah. But
Mhm.
it was very simple, 9 pages. There was a lot of words on those 9 pages, but it was just nine
Yeah.
pages. My second one was actually a book of poetry. It was haiku poetry, and that came about because of a challenge that I gave myself.
Right.
So there are 31 haiku poems that I wrote over a period of 31 days. And then with each haiku, there's a painting that goes along with it. So it's roughly 60 pages, with the haiku and the paintings combined. And I was very, very proud of that because, I know if you're not familiar with a haiku, it's basically a 3-line poem, right? 5-7-5 is the style I wrote in. And when you think, and if for those of you who are listening, if you're not familiar with a haiku, go and look up what a haiku is. And you're literally painting a picture or telling a story within 3 lines that have 5 syllables for the first line, 7 syllables for the second, and 5 syllables for the third line. And you're telling a whole story within 3 sentences. It is very challenging, very, very difficult. So the fact that I made it through 31 days and managed to write 31 haiku poems, I was very proud. So as I was looking at it, I thought, I have got to publish this, and I did. And it's
Yeah.
on Amazon, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I'm working on another book right now, that kind of, it's along the lines of why you wrote yours, basically kind of my journey through chronic illness back to health, and using it as a teaching tool for other people. So um, I really love how you wrote your book, and it was basically therapy for you at the same time while you're sharing wisdom with the people who are reading it. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, Jamichael, my question to you now at this point is, so just kind of talk about the publication of the book. Just kind of give a little information about what an individual, if they wanted to put a book together, what are some of the things that they're going to have to do in terms of getting that published uh, to fruition, if you will. So, just give some information on that, if you would.
Yeah. It's actually kind of, it's not all that intricate or difficult. Um, the thing that I would definitely advise is to get it copywritten. Ownership is important. Um, and there's a lot of different avenues that you can go through. There are two really popular ones. The names escape me, but literally, if you Google it, you'll be able to find them at the top of the results. Um, so yeah, copywriting for sure. And then in terms of publishing, there's a lot of different routes that people can go. Myself, I've gone the independent route, um, and just solely publish my work through Amazon. But if I wanted to take it off, and like I said, I do plan on getting my own website and stuff like that running, where I can house that myself and not have to worry about anything. Um, so yeah, in terms of publication, you could go the Amazon route. Um, you could set up your own base with yourself and your website and everything, but that's a little more groundwork. So the reason I started out with Amazon is because they're able to house everything. And so when someone's buying my book, they're the ones that are printing it off. They're the ones that are sending it off. But um, in the near future, I want to, you know, basically cultivate my own home base where I'm, having all my books gathered together, printed off, whether I'm doing that myself or just through a third party entity, and shipping them off myself. That's kind of the future goal, to just kind of have everything in house.
Good, good. Well, I understand what you're saying when you're talking about Amazon, but definitely I appreciate you giving that bit of information for those that's out there. So have you ever considered, have anybody asked you to kind of help them or kind of be a coach to them in terms of putting a book together? Any of your young friends or those that's looking, have they kind of reached out to you?
Yeah, I've been kind of coaching a few different people um, through their process. There's one particular friend of mine that I've been like literally working with them every day for their book. That's it's going to be published by the end of this month, beginning of March. So yeah, I've been working with them for wow, I don't know, the last 6 to 8 months, um, with their book, just checking on them every day, holding them accountable. Um, oh, these are some things that you need to keep in mind, and just bouncing ideas off of one another. And yeah, I mean, I think creativity in a whole is a collaborative effort,
Mhm.
um, when it comes to creating and cultivating a piece to um, you know marketing it. It's all a collaborative effort, and so
Mhm.
uh, yeah, that stuff is really important.
So do you think you're going to have like a coaching business in addition to your writing? Because I mean, I know you. It looks like you may have a couple people that are looking for your assistance, but so do you see that building in the future and you becoming a coach for aspiring authors?
Yeah, I do see that being a part of what I would like to do in the long run. I mentioned this a little earlier that um, obviously I love the art, I love creating, I love all aspects of it, and I do see myself um, broadening my brand and putting myself in this particular place where I can create opportunities for other people. So um, whether that be like development or marketing and promotions and stuff like that. Just ultimately shining a light on other creatives, making the path easier for them. You know what I mean? And so I definitely see that playing a role into the overall mission.
So, Jamaica, I want to ask you another question. Kind of talk about what it takes to market your books. I know you talked about that. You said that, but kind of give some insight. If a person does decide to write a book, how do you recommend, and what ways do you recommend that they market? Other than having a friend like Gina who pulls you on the show that says, "Come on and talk about it." But outside of that, how do you? What is some of the channels you went through in terms of putting the book out there?
Yeah, I feel like the process can look extremely different for everyone. Um, I think for myself, I just got really lucky and was really able to connect with just a lot of different creatives, not even on the sense of like, well, hey, I'm going to talk about your work. Will you talk about mine? But I care about real, genuine relationships.
Mhm.
And so I found myself in that position a lot, especially when I started to share my work publicly before publishing a book. I wanted to uh, build a community. That was really important to me, and I felt like that was something that happened organically. Um, Also, it doesn't hurt to have like, supportive friends and family and stuff like that who can tell a friend to tell a friend. Um, I think that is something that is undervalued, but it's still the creme de la creme when it comes to marketing.
Mhm.
Word of mouth. It's really important, and so I think a mix between, like I was saying earlier, just building real relationships with people and and just being consistent. Consistency is key.
Mhm.
um Not wanting to just be satisfied with the status quo, having that desire to be better, and just the word of mouth. It's kind of a perfect recipe, really.
So have you had a chance to do any book signings?
I've done a couple book signings. This past December. uh the first one I did was at my high school that I graduated from. That was very surreal. Um, Quite the experience. It was really nice being able to see just different staff members and individuals that had a really big impact on my life, and um,
Mhm.
just I the school I attended was Holy Trinity in Melbourne, Florida. Just that place in general, it really uh, changed my life and broadened and deepened my perspective on just like expectations and
Mhm.
things I'm willing to claim for myself. It was really eye opening, and so being at a place where um, it took a lot of just things in my life to the next level, and just how I viewed life, how I viewed myself, and then coming back there after publishing some work, um, still doesn't make much sense to me. Um, and then there was another school that I went to, a magnet school, and that was surreal. That was it. Just yeah, it's crazy. I do hope to do more of those book signings and whatnot, and then the near future. Yeah, so just planning a lot of different things out all at the
Well,
same.
I want all the audience to understand and know that how we got to Jamichael. Gina is Jamichael's former school teacher. So we just want to say to all the young men and women out there, do good in school. You never know how your teacher may come back and support your
Oh,
business down the road. So definitely, obviously, you were a great student, and Gina definitely has high regard, and she definitely talked a lot about how she feels and just feel that you're going to be successful. So definitely, thank you. Why don't you hold up your book?
and just
Hold
for
up
clarification, he was
one
my
more time, Jamaica. Hold up your book one more time so everybody can see it. There you go,
Mhm.
Gina.
One of the things I wanted, you mentioned about the book signing at Holy Trinity, and I foresee you actually being the speaker at the graduation this year. I don't know, I just have a feeling that's coming. So you want to prepare for that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I probably should prepare a bit.
Hmm I just have a feeling that's coming. Yes. And just for clarification, I was his sculpture teacher when he was in high school, art and sculpture. So creativity is just, one of those things that's dear to me because creativity is very, very healing. Um,
Mhm.
you're going through whatever challenge that you might be facing, whether it's painting, writing, it's very, very healing. And i'm yeah, I'm very proud to see, and I know a little bit of the background story as to why the book has been published, but at the same time it's going to be it's just such a powerful book, and it's encouraging. It's not you know uh, it's not depressing. It's really motivational. So please go out and get the book. And it's on Amazon again. It's called Point A to B. And we don't want to keep you any longer, but one of the passages I do want you to read in ending is called concert. Concert. I thought that was a good one for us to end with.
Okay. If you don't mind, there's one that I'd like to read afterward too.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Absolutely.
More context to the book itself, but I'll read concert. Yeah. My favorite song came on, and immediately I reached for the knob that controls the volume, turning up this tune to a boom so loud that I could barely hear myself croon. What a time. I could do this all week. I probably look like a freak to the onlookers who pass by at the sound of every beat, witnessing my high reach its peak. My singing eventually turns into a shriek, but that doesn't really matter to me. This song provided a personal concert that I'll be sure to repeat.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Yes. And as you're saying that, you said you with the I've done it. Being in a car, you hear the song come on, you crank it up, and you just start dancing, and you just kind of block out everybody, and you know that people are looking at you because you're going kind of crazy in the car. But the thing is, you've got to put your blinders on and just ignore what the world. You just ignore it, and just be you. Because I think that's one of the things is so many people expect you to be a certain way. You got this person expecting you to behave a certain way, that person expecting you to be a certain way. But when you can just be you, just crank that song up and just dance like no one is looking.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's important. I think all people should embrace themselves and like where they're at. And if the people who know me know that I don't like ever feel awkward because I just embrace what's going on like when it's happening. And yeah, whether it be just a difficult conversation or just I don't know, maybe I tripped or whatever. It's just it just is what it is, and I'm gonna keep taking steps forward regardless. So yeah, I think that's just something that everyone should put into practice.
And I just want to say to everyone, definitely, this is Gemikal. This is his book, Point A to B. Everyone definitely go out and get this book. Support him. Support what he's doing. He's a benefit to the community. He's a community benefit to all the young Black brothers out there. Listen to your mom when she's asking you to read. You never know how many books you're gonna write when mom is on you, but you're gonna turn out and do some great things to support the community. That's what we do here at Black Digital Media. You don't need to be on any other big time movie, news show. What we do is we support our community. We support our Black businesses. We support those who's coming up. So those of you who are out there in the future, definitely hit us up. Gina, she does a great job at reaching out to those. If you're interested in coming on the show, we're more than happy to support what you're doing in your business. We've got some corporate businesses that we're going to be coming on to. We got some summits that's going to be coming up with corporate businesses. I have a nonprofit organization, so definitely we'll be asking everyone out there to support what we're doing so we can continue what we're doing to support our communities. We need everybody's help and support. We have to support all of the Black digital medias and the media televisions and media shows out there that's telling the stories that are not really told in the big media. But it's up to us to create the media platforms to make sure that we support one another and support those who are doing great things in the community for the community, just as Gemikal is doing. So with that being said, you said you had one more thing you want to read.
Yeah.
Turn it over to you. So give us your favorite piece or the piece that you want to share.
Yeah, thank you.
Before you read, Jermichael, I just want to say thank you to those of you who are watching.
Yes.
Just so I don't interrupt, the flow. Thank you for those of you who watched, who came on and supported Jermichael. Again, his book is on Amazon. It's called Point A to B, and the name is Gemikal Prude. So please go to Amazon. It's a very affordable book. So go and support him. Gemikal Prude, Point A to B. Back to you, Jermichael.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, like this is a my first poetry book, but in the midst of the poetry interwoven are continued short stories to just provide more context of what's going on. Obviously, it's a journey of self discovery and acceptance. You see that on the cover of the book, and so these short stories are given from the perspective of this person um, who's choosing to make this drive for someone that they love. And even though they're making that drive, and then in the first half of the book, the first part of the book, you see that they're struggling with that reality and wondering if they even deserve love or if they should even be making this trip in the first place, if it even makes sense. And in the second part, excuse me, of the book, you see a reflection in just these different things that the car or your life has to offer and things that you should really be happy about and accepting. So I'm going to read a journal entry or a part of a short story. Um, it's funny because this happens to be my grandmother, her favorite part of the book. And I remember she was like reading it to me, and she was just getting all animated and stuff, and I was literally tearing up. But it's also really interesting that her favorite piece would really be the I don't know, I guess when just things really changed, the whole perspective went from is this really for me to no, I'm going after it. This is good. And I deserve good too. Um so yeah, it's definitely one that I wanted to read for her. So um like I said, they're broken up in like journal entries, and this is the 13th one, journal number 13. It says, I have nothing but time to stroll through these endless back roads. So strange that no matter how many twists and turns I take, all of these roads seem to look the same. In one way, it's kind of boring. Then again, the more familiar roads I come across, the more that are eventually left behind me, which means I am that much closer to stepping into uncharted territory. A new city, a new state, and a new adventure. Hoping that me, myself, and I can change, no, grow into something much greater. Who could have known that this trip would provide such an opportunity to find refuge in you, a new home, the escape that I've always needed? That's it.
I love that. The two words stood out to me: uncharted territory.
Mhm.
And then whenever you're starting something new, that's literally what it is. It's uncharted territory, and I'm sure the book, um, that was definitely, well, you referred to it in the beginning as your impossible dream. And here we are, you're now living the impossible dream, right? And about to write, or you've written a few other books and getting ready for publication at some point, right? So, but that's the thing, uncharted territory. A lot of people, when you have a dream, fear keeps them from going and really reaching for that dream. And I'm glad that you didn't let fear stop you, because I can tell you fear stops a lot of people, and I was one of those people. Because when it's something new, and you have it, that there's this dream within you, but you get afraid of what people are going to think, or how they're going to look at you, what they're going to think about you. And fear has kept me from doing certain things, because I just allow other people to kind of, they're what I think they're going to think, and what I think they're going to say, and what I think they're going to feel, all of this stuff. So fear keeps you from embarking into that uncharted territory, or that what we call the getting out of the comfort zone, right?
Right.
But that's where that dream really comes alive, is when you really reach into that uncharted territory, and you experience the discomfort no matter how hard it is, and go for that dream. So, and that's point A to B, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, good
Thank you,
job,
Jermichael.
and good job. Thank you, Jermichael. I think it was a great show. Like I said, to everyone out there, please support Gemikal Prude, his book. Support him. Support our Black digital media. We have lots of things getting ready to come out. We've been working behind the scenes. You haven't seen us. We've got a lot of great projects and initiatives coming out that you'll be seeing on Black digital media. We'll be bringing on corporate business owners as well too. And so this is what Black digital media is all about. We support our community members and encourage them to continue doing the great thing. So again, thank you once again, Jermichael, and look forward to having you back once again. Gina?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jermichael. I really do appreciate you taking time out to come and be interviewed by us, to share your some words from your book. And we're not going to share any more from his book, because we do want you to go and buy it. But I'm sure you've heard enough
Hold it up,
that,
Jermichael. Hold the book up
yes,
once more.
you've
There you
heard
go.
enough to know that this is an amazing book. So go to Amazon and look up the Point A to B, Gemikal Prude. For those of you who are watching, thank you so much for supporting the show. We do appreciate you being here. Also here to support Gemikal, because I know that there's a lot of people that are really rooting for you. Gemikal, lots of love, lots of hearts in the comments. Thank you so much again. And we are going to see you again pretty soon with another special guest. But this guest tonight was extra special because, like I said, he was a former student, and I just had to bring him on to showcase his book. So,
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
good night. Good night, Gemikal. Good night, everybody. Good night, Laron.
All right,
Great
good
show
night.
as usual.
Good night.